Pooh?
Christopher Robin.
When artists worry about what big corporations might do after they buy the rights to their creations, Disney's Christopher Robin is exactly what they're worried about. This live-action feature takes the beautiful and distinctive creations of A.A. Milne and shoehorns them into the screenwriting skeleton of the Shaggy Dog, the Santa Claus, and 9 Lives, even though that makes no sense for the characters. As a boy, Christopher Robin had many adventures with the anthropomorphic animals and toys in the 100-Acre Wood. The original Winnie the Pooh stories ended with Christopher Robin growing up and leaving his childlike fantasy world behind, as beautiful and as bittersweet a metaphor for coming of age as any yet written. But in Disney's Christopher Robin, that's not good enough, so we watch the title character grow up and turn into the worst kind of creature imaginable, a father with a job who learns that growing up sucks after Winnie the Pooh comes to visit him in London.
I've cracked. Oh, I don't see any cracks. A few wrinkles, maybe.
This is, of course, the worst possible time for Pooh to come calling, because Christopher Robin has a big business meeting and has to stay home to work while his family is on holiday. It's an argument that might make sense if the movie hadn't made it abundantly clear that if Christopher Robin doesn't work this weekend specifically, then a lot of other people will lose their jobs. He isn't working because he's selfish, he's working because he's entirely selfless, and yet his family gives him a guilt trip about it anyway.
Are you hearing yourself? You need to quit.
Christopher Robin can't be portrayed as a genuinely bad person, so he needs relatable motivations. But the whole deadbeat dad story structure doesn't work unless he's actually a deadbeat. So the movie falls apart in the first couple of scenes. What follows are Christopher Robin's adventures with Pooh, who begs Christopher Robin to help find his missing friends, which brings our hero back to the 100-Acre Wood. If that sounds entertaining or amusing, you'd be wrong, because Disney's Christopher Robin is filmed with all the dreary, depressive atmosphere usually relegated to grim World War II dramas about how terrible life was during the Blitz. Watching Pooh wander helplessly through the woods, wondering aloud why his friends have abandoned him, isn't cute, it's an existential horror show.
I've lost all of my friends.
The voice cast brings the animals of the 100-Acre Wood to life and does a better job than the animators, who make these toy creatures look a little too real. It shouldn't be this easy to mistake Winnie the Pooh and Tigger for demons in ill-fitting costumes, but that's what we've got anyway. Ewan McGregor does an impressive job acting opposite these CGI creations, but poor Hayley Atwell is wasted as a character whose sole responsibility is to disapprove of her husband. Perhaps the strangest conceit of Disney's Christopher Robin is that Pooh, Tigger, Eeyore, and their ilk aren't figments of Christopher Robin's imagination. It would make sense if they were, because that was the point of Winnie the Pooh to begin with. But early in the film, Londoners can hear Pooh talk and see him move, and if they're real, the whole story falls apart again because it makes Christopher Robin seem cruelly neglectful to forget about them in the first place. And in the end, that conceit torpedoes the entire premise of A.A. Milne's creation. Childhood was to be treasured, but it wasn't supposed to be permanent. The point of Disney's Christopher Robin is that childhood fantasy literally has more value than anything else, which is basically a stiff middle finger in the face of the creator of the characters who were supposed to be celebrated. Disney's Christopher Robin is a formulaic and depressing motion picture that takes meaningful characters and strips them of their reason to exist. The story doesn't make sense on the surface or even in its subtext, and although it may be possible to write it off as just another riff on the deadbeat dad family movie genre, it's not even an entertaining one of those. For more reviews, check out what we thought of Mission Impossible Fallout and Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and as always, be sure to follow and subscribe on whatever platform you enjoy watching IGN.
Piglet!
If anyone wants to clap, now is the time to do it.